Hey there, YouTubers. Kitten Hoarder here, and you're watching Session Report, the show that takes you to the gamer's table to share in the surprises that come out during play. Do-do-do-do-do. You've been a naughty boy. And today we're going to be playing more Pathfinder adventure card game, Mummy's Mask. And we're going to be playing the final scenario in the base scenario. The base set, if you're not familiar at all with Pathfinder adventure card game, the base set comes with two adventures. A base adventure and adventure deck 1. And then adventure decks 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are purchasable separately, and they're released about a month apart. And it tells this huge overarching story. So we are finishing up the base adventure with the final scenario in adventure B, Forged in Flames. At last your caravan arrives in Wati, only to find the smithy district in flames. A vengeful Ifriti and his minions dance in the blaze, mocking those who desperately attempt to quench the inferno. Water brought from the river Sphinx will do no good until the Ifriti has been dealt with. Do you have enough strength left in you to staunch the fire? So, the ongoing storyline is that we are all headed to the city of Wati because it's about to open up its necropolis district to tomb exploration, and my team of heroes here are a bunch of tomb raiding adventurers. And we've just finished wandering through the desert for possibly weeks, probably days, and suffered dehydration and sandstorms and poison, and finally arrived in Wati. But before we can have a rest and prepare for the lottery, we are going to have to deal with this fire, because we are good Samaritans. Except for Tup. He's a goblin pyromaniac. So, my heroes, as always, are Tup, the goblin pyromaniac, Estra, the human spiritualist, who is joined by her deceased hubby, Onair, and Yoon, a human kineticist who has sort of mastery over the elements and is able to use both defensive and offensive magic sort of at will by commanding these elements. So, let's talk about some special scenario setup here. All Banes in this scenario have the fire trait, and when building the Blessings deck, I had to replace 5 Blessings with the henchman called Conflagration. So I will get to that when I actually discard the blessing, Conflagration. I'll talk about what that does. I've already had a peek at it, because as I mentioned in a previous video, I'm working on this adventure guide, and I've just finished writing up the adventure guide for this scenario. Now I'm going to play it through and see how it feels with that added knowledge. But in any case, those are the two big things, and I've got to find the Ifriti somewhere in these locations and deal with him. So, let's get everybody to their starting locations. First, starting hand, Tup gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. I believe he needs at least one of them to be a spell, and it is. And plus he gets his steed Deliverance. And Tup, I believe, is going to he's going to start out. Hi, Luna. Hi. Oh, you're a good dog. He's going to start out, I believe, in the warehouse. Sounds like a good place. He's going to see what's up at the warehouse. Estra is going to get her starting hand of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one of them has to be her hubby, and it is. Oh, she's got some pretty cool stuff. She is going to start out at the surgery, I believe. No. She is going to start out at the smoking den and see what they're... This is some pretty cool stuff here. These new locations are pretty cool because most locations, the when closing effect is a negative, but these actually have pretty positive when closing effects. Summon and acquire a weapon. Summon and acquire a random ally. Summon and acquire a weapon. This is when permanently closed, summon and acquire a weapon, an armor, or an item from the box. So actually, to temporarily close these things, you can be summoning and acquiring all sorts of fun stuff. Of course, I guess you don't automatically acquire the weapon. I don't know. Do you summon and acquire a weapon? I think that automatically acquires it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Yoon, and she needs a blessing. All right, she's got at least one blessing. And she is going to start out in the... I believe well, what's her survival like? No, she's not great at that. She's going to start out in the Brickworks and see what's over there. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, I checked, and summon and acquire means that you must successfully acquire it. What I'm not sure about is this when permanently closed, summon and acquire a weapon, an armor, or an item from the box. I assume that means summon and encounter, and not automatically acquire it, but I'd have to look at similar cards from the Rise of the Runelord set, or see if there's a FAQ entry for this. What a good dog. So, we'll see. Let's begin, though. We'll start with the first blessing, and it is Tup's turn. Why did he start at the warehouse? I don't know. Okay, so he's going to begin by just exploring. Ooh, and he's encountered a dredge. This is a halfling rogue from the Aspis Consortium. When you would encounter a boon, recharge this card to exchange that boon with a random boon of the same type from the box and encounter that boon instead. That seems like a pretty useful ability. So he needs to try a charisma or diplomacy check. He's actually got very high diplomacy. Tup is your friend. Listen to Tup. So Tup is going to try a D12 plus 2 to acquire this guy. He might even use a blessing. I think he's just going to try the D12 plus 2 to acquire this guy. And it was a 12, so he's got the dredge. And I'm going to use him right away. So he's going to discard the dredge to explore his location. During this exploration, add 1d4 to your checks to acquire items. So we're exploring again. And it's an item. Excellent. It's a very good-looking item, too. And I get to add 1d4. And it's a wisdom check, which is a d4 naturally for me. Recharge this card to gain the skill, Divine, Wisdom plus 2. Characters may not play blessings that have the Divine trait. That's sort of interesting. Recharge this card to add the Magic trait to your check. Now that seems sort of useful too. So we're going to try this. 2 d4s, and I need a 5. I think it doesn't seem like that useful for any of my characters because she already has Divine that's based on her Wisdom. And nobody really needs to work hard to add the Magic trait to their check. So we're just going to roll the 2 d4s and see. Ooh, it was a 5. So I get the ring. So I'm still got too many cards in my hand. So I'm going to discard a Blessing of the Elements to explore one more time. And do I still get... No, it's only during that exploration I got the 1d4. So I'm going to explore one more time. And it's an Acid Flask. Okay, so the Acid Flask would be nice to have, not necessary, but it'd be nice to have. I need to roll a d6, and I need a 5 or greater, which is very unlikely. So maybe I will have somebody else use a blessing to help him out. Discard this card to add 2d8 to any check to acquire a boon. That's pretty cool, but I don't need it that desperately. But I will use Estra's card. So we're going to recharge this because this check invokes the acid trait. So we're going to recharge this Blessing of the Elements and roll 2d6s instead of 1d6. And I got it. So I got the acid flask. Unfortunately, that means I still have too many cards in my hand. But I'm going to end my turn there. So at the end of my turn in this location, I can recharge any number of items and weapons. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to recharge the Ring of the Godless. I'm going to put that on the bottom. And then I don't know if I need this other stuff, so I'm going to recharge the Potion of Energy Resistance and the Acid Flask. Because, I want to get this stuff out after I get my alchemical sort of toolkit out. Alright, so I've done that, and then I proceed with my reset my hand. And I can draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more card. Ooh, it's an Embalmer. I put this guy in my deck last game. Alright, so it is now Estra's turn, and we will... Oh, I didn't read this warehouse. So what is the warehouse? A maze of crates, urns, and baskets from every corner of the world fills the shelves to the ceiling. Stevedores grunt as they lift seemingly impossible weights upon their backs. Only the master knows the measure of the wealth here. We suspect smuggling dangerous goods is a matter of course. Top likey. Alright. And it is Estra's turn. So she's at the smoking den. At the start of your turn, you may reveal a card that has a poison trait to examine the top card of your location deck. Okay, I don't know what they're smoking, but she doesn't have a card with the poison trait, so she's just going to explore. Ooh, it is a Blessing of the Elements. So she can, I'm pretty sure she can get this. She has a wisdom score of a d12 plus 1. So it's fairly likely. Not 100% odds, but pretty good. And it was an 8. So we've got the Blessing of the Elements. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to recharge a spell using one of her abilities here to examine the top 2 cards of the location deck. Look at the top 2 cards here, and it's 2 allies. Okay, sounds good. So they're going back to the top of the deck. And what can Onair do? Draw a spell from the discard pile. Sure, I will discard the Blessing of the Elements to explore. And it's the Pommet Clansman. I can get him with a Divine check, so I'm going to do that. It's a d12 plus 3. Alright, I got him. So I can discard him to explore again. And if the top card of the... Okay, so it's not a Blessing of the Ancients at the top of the deck. So I'm just going to explore. And I've got a Tomb Raider. It's Charisma, Diplomacy, or Acrobatics. So what is her Charisma like? Her Diplomacy is a d10 plus 1, which is fairly good. And she got him. Alright. So I can discard him to explore the location. I will do that. We're going to keep exploring, keep on pushing on. And... oh, it's the Fire Spirit! Is immune to the fire trait. If the check to defeat has the cold trait, add 1 die. All damage dealt by the Fire Spirit is fire damage. If undefeated, draw the henchman Conflagration from the box and examine it. If defeated, you may immediately attempt to close this location this henchman came from. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Frost Staff. I specifically brought the Frost Staff to deal with guys like him. Why do there have to be fire spirits like Frank? So I'm going to discard my Holy Light spell because I can easily get it back. And recharge the Frost Staff to use my Divine plus 2d4 that has the Cold trait. So I get to add another d12. So 2d12s plus 2d4s plus 3. That should be plenty good. Oh no! Those were some pretty low rolls, but I think I still got it. 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right, so I've defeated, so this gets recharged. I've defeated the Fire Spirit, and he is going to get banished, so I'll just put him up here. And then I can summon and acquire a random ally that lists diplomacy in its check to acquire. So the Kafar. I'm not examining him, so I don't trigger his trigger. But okay, so he is another guy with the Aspis Consortium. His wisdom, charisma, and diplomacy. So I'm going to try my wisdom, which is a d12 plus 1, because that's a little better than my other cards. And I do really want to acquire this card, not only because it seems like a decent card, but also because I want to close the location. So I'm going to use a Blessing of the Ancients to add 1 die to that. So I'm rolling 2d12s plus 1. And I've succeeded. So I got him, closed this location, and for the rest of the scenario, when a character at any location attempts a check that invokes the human or poison trait, she may bury a card to add 1 die. Interesting. Citizens with heavy purses speak in hushed urgency to unsavory mercenaries in the smoking den. A password will guarantee you the privilege of fine pesh and interesting rumors. Ooh, I'm glad I avoided this guy. Ooh, that's an ugly mother. Sort of looks like this one. I guess they're cousins or something. Alright, so that's gone. Some camouflage pits in the smoking den. What the heck were they doing in there? And alchemical gas. Ooh, I missed out on a really nice quarterstaff, it looks like. But you win some and you lose some. You win some and you lose some. And then I'm going to take this Holy Light out of my discard pile into my hand, then reset my hand. And that is my turn. Alright, it's Little Miss Yoon's turn, so we're going to discard the Blessing. We've had good luck so far with these conflagrations. Should she stay at the Brickworks? She can't really do much with her hand right now. No, she's going to head over to the Scorched Ruin. Oh, but this is tricky because the Scorched Ruin says, after defeating a non-villain, non-henchman monster that has the fire trait, shuffle into a random other open location deck. The scenario says all Banes gain the fire trait. So basically, I'm screwed if I go over there and encounter monsters, although there's only 2 monsters in that deck. So I am going to go over there. I'm going to head over to the Scorched Ruins and see if I can help out over there. And we're going to explore. It's an armored kilt. Excellent. So it's a Constitution or Fortitude 5 check. She actually has very high Fortitude. It's a D10 plus 2. So we'll just try it. And we've got a 10. So that's perfectly good. I'm going to hold on to this because I can use it to reduce fire damage. We will use the Shock Lizard. Well, maybe I should use the Blessing of Wadjet to explore. Yes, I'm going to use the Blessing of Wadjet because I can always recharge a card from my discard pile, the Blessing, at the end of every turn. She's got a very cool power. So I'm examining the top card of my location deck, then I may explore. And during this exploration, I add 1 die to checks to acquire boons. Oh, very nice. And I'm then exploring, and I'm going to try and get this Armor of the Sands, because that's very Lawrence of Arabia-ish. Just very cool looking, and I'm sure it's pretty good. So, we get 2 d10s plus a 2 for my fortitude check. I only need to get a 6. Whoa, I'm pretty sure that was it. That was a 9 and a 6. All right. And should I continue? I no longer have a blessing, so I can't use that for my combat checks. So my combat might not be very good. I have a d6 plus 1, basically, in combat. I'm gonna risk it, because this is very barrier heavy. We'll see. So I'm gonna discard the Shock Lizard to explore again. Ooh, and it's a Fire Spirit. Ooh. Fire Spirit is immune to the fire trait, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why I'm reading this entire thing again. Okay. So, what am I going to do? Well, I do have an electricity trait on my combat check, if that matters at all. It doesn't really matter at this point, but I do have that electricity trait on my combat check. And maybe there's something another character can do to help out. Tup, I'm looking at you. Nope. It really doesn't seem like it. So she's pretty much screwed. She's not going to be able to defeat this Fire Spirit with the cards in her hand. Well, actually, I can reveal this to add 1d8 and the electricity trait to a combat check. If it's against a Bane and the result exceeds the difficulty by 3 or more, discard this card and the top card of the Blessings deck. So I want to kill it, but not too much. Yes, I'm going to do that. So I get to add 1d8 to my combat check. It's already got the electricity trait, but now I'm rolling a d6 plus a d8 plus 1, and I'm hoping to get just around 10, but not greater than 10. I have no other powers that I can deal with here? No. Okay, so 12, 13. So that does exceed the difficulty by 3 or more, so I have to discard the Stained Glass Elemental and the top card of the Blessings deck. Okay, so it was not a conflagration. But I did kill the Fire Spirit, which is very nice. So another Fire Spirit down. And now I must summon and attempt to acquire a weapon. So let's see what weapon we're going to acquire. A whip! A whip! Okay, so that's a 7. I need a d6 plus 1. That's going to be very difficult to get. Can anybody help? Come on, man. Oh, no, I can't do this. Well, this is not really an encounter, is it? I think it still counts as part of the encounter. I would have used this Deliverance and head over there and give him a +4. That would have been really nice. Darn it. And Estra can't do anything from where she is? Nope. Okay. So I think I'm going to fail. unless I get very lucky at this roll, in which case this location is not closed. But the major threat has been defeated. So let's see. D6 plus 1. Oh no! A 5. It was very close. So I was not able to acquire the whip. That means that the Scorched Ruins are still intact. Still open and capable of being engulfed in flame. So then I'm going to reset my hand. Before I do that, I'm going to recharge my Blessing of Wadjet, who I recently learned represents the Sphinx River, with the, I guess, the tail being the Sphinx itself, and the two heads being the Crook and the Asp rivers, which feed into the Sphinx River. So that's pretty cool. These are discards, and then I'm going to draw 1, 2. Okay. Alright, I can't believe it's only been 3 turns, although I had to discard a blessing, unfortunately. Oh no, it's a conflagration! So, when you examine or encounter this card, or discard it from the blessings deck, if there's an open location that does not have a barrier displayed, display this card next to a random such location. While displayed, this location may not be closed. When you end your turn at this location, you're dealt 1 fire damage. When you start your turn at this location, you may succeed at a check to defeat this card to banish it. So, have I started my turn yet? Let's see. Advance the Blessings deck. When do I actually start my turn? It's actually not clear when I start my turn, but I think I've started my turn already before I advance a blessing. So I'm not going to put it with Tup. I will put it with Yoon, because she's going to have a chance to defeat it. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. As she can try and defeat it. Well, is she going to be able to, though? It's Dexterity, Disable, Constitution, Craft, or Survival. She has pretty high Constitution. And I think that's better than anybody else's stats in any of those skills, although Estra can have Onair help with her Constitution check. But I think, yeah, I'll give it to Yoon. Alright, so conflagration has happened. And I don't believe I then have to draw another card, so I'm fine with that. Alright, what to do? Well, I don't really want to stick around the warehouse. Or do I? Do I want to stick around the warehouse? No, not really. Well, I don't want to move to where the conflagration is, because then I'm going to have to take a fire damage at the end of my turn. Although I could move to where the conflagration is, but that would be needlessly complicated. I don't need anything from this deck anymore, so I'm going to stay where I am. I'm going to stay where I am, and I'm just going to explore. And I found a crocodile skin Lamalar. So, Intelligence, Craft, Constitution, or Fortitude. We can try a Constitution check, that's a D8. I could use the Embalmer for an Intelligence check, but I want to keep him and use him to explore, so we're going to use a D8. And it was not successful, but that's okay. Okay, and then I'm going to use my Embalmer to explore. Oh, it's another Fire Spirit. Alright, so what can I do against the Fire Spirit? It's immune to the fire trait only, so it's not immune to Viper. It's not immune to Venom, but it would be immune to this Immolate. I don't know why I pronounced it that way. That's a very strange way to pronounce that. I'm going to use the Viper Strike, because 2d4s is slightly better than 1d8. So I'm going to use my Arcane or Divine Skill, which is d12 plus 1 plus 2d4s. So I'm doing a d12 plus 2d4s plus 1 against this Fire Spirit. Ooh, that was very close. 10, 11, 12, 13. Alright, he is dead. He's dead. Alright, I'm going to try to recharge this card. I need a 6. This is a d12 plus 1. And I've recharged it. And then I'm going to try to close the warehouse. Succeeded a dexterity or disable check with a difficulty 4. Plus the adventure deck number, which is nothing. So my dexterity is a d8 plus 1. So I think that's something I'm capable of doing. d8 plus 1. And just to be safe, well, a d8 plus 1, can I get a 4 on that? That seems very likely. I would need to get a 1 or a 2 to fail. Alright, I'm going to try it. d8 plus 1. Oh, yes, a 4. Okay, so this location is permanently closed. Ooh, and I avoided some very bad stuff. Did I shuffle these decks at all? I may have forgotten to shuffle the decks completely. Oh no, that's horrible. Okay, well, that was embarrassing. So I had not actually shuffled these decks. So to sort of balance it out, I gave myself a small advantage in these first, 3 rounds, in that I had no chance of encountering monsters or barriers. So to balance it out, I took the monsters and barriers that I just banished from the deck I just closed, and I distributed them into the other remaining 3 decks. And that should balance it pretty much. I don't think I gave myself too much of an advantage. I mean, after all, it could possibly have been randomly shuffled into that exact original order just by chance. But I did get a small advantage, so I did that. Then as for the warehouse, I do not see anything that clarifies what to do here. It's very weird that this says summon and acquire instead of summon and encounter. If it meant that I had to try the attempt the check to encounter it, should have said summon, or to acquire it, it should have said summon and encounter. And if it meant that I just automatically got it, it should have said draw a weapon, an armor, or an item from the box. But since it says summon and acquire, I'm going to assume that it means literally what it means on the other cards, which is I must summon the card and then attempt to acquire it and not automatically succeed. And I assume that if I fail, it goes back into the box. So it's a weapon, an armor, or an item. I have no particular advantage to getting most weapons, although if I got a ranged weapon, I might do well with that. Most of these checks to acquire are not that easy, though. But if I went for an item, those I have a much higher chance of getting. So, on the other hand, though, I need weapons. Now, at the end of this scenario, I will be able to get weapons from the smiths. Ugh, it's tough choice. I think I'm going to go for the item. So I'm going to summon and encounter an item. And it's a flash freeze. That's perfect for this. That's perfect for this scenario. That's great. So I need intelligence or craft of 5. I have a 6, a d6. And let's see if Yoon has a blessing of the elements for me. She does. So since this has the cold trait, I can recharge a blessing of the elements, and I'm going to roll 2 d6s and hope for a 5. Oh! Either one of those would have been a success. That's perfect. Very nice. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, since there's nothing else worth doing on this turn, I'm going to use Deliverance and gallop on over to the surgery and shuffle Deliverance into the deck here. Okay. And then reset my hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very nice. And it is Estra's turn. Oh no, another conflagration. So it's got to go to either the surgery or the brickworks. We will put it on the surgery. So now the surgery is on fire. Let's sort of do that. And do that. Okay. Excellent. And then we will begin Estra's turn. So Estra is going to head on over to the brickworks and explore there. Oh no, a lightning storm. Display this barrier next to your location. Well, that does prevent fire from happening. When displayed, when you start your turn at this location, roll 1d4. On a 4, banish the barrier. Any other result, you are dealt that amount of electricity damage. Okay, so there's going to be a lightning storm at the brickworks ongoing. Okay. I'm going to discard Kafar to explore, and I get 1d4 to my charisma checks or checks to acquire boons. Ooh, a corrosive dagger +1. That's perfect. That's going to be good, because that would be a much better weapon for really, honestly, Tup or Yoon, but particularly Tup. Unfortunately, getting it is going to be a problem. Now, I do get to add 1d4 to my check, so I am rolling for dexterity at d4, plus a d4. And can't use Onair for this. Is there anything else that she has? Nope. Can anybody help? Yes, he could help. And Yoon, what are you doing upside down? Yoon cannot help. So this is because I really want this card. We're gonna discard a Blessing of the Elements to try to get this card. And so she's now rolling. Oh, it's still not going to be great. It's going to be 2d4s. Oh, plus a 1d4. So it's going to be 3d4s. I think, I mean, still not great odds of getting a 7, but maybe we can do it. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need a 2 or better. No, no, it was a 1. Oh no. Okay, so this corrosive dagger is gone out of reach. And then we're going to try the... actually, I'm going to recharge this spell to examine the top 2 cards before I do anything else. Alright, top one is a trap, but I could probably succeed at that, and then a caravan raider. Which Yoon would be good at. Alright, so I think I can succeed at this trap. We're going to discard the Pomet Clansman to explore and try this Wisdom or Perception D12 plus 1 check to get a 6. D12 plus 1. 8. Alright, so that is well more than what we needed. Alright, so I've succeeded at the camouflage pit trap. Why are people putting up these camouflage pits in the middle of the Smithy district? Very weird. And then she's going to end her turn. So she's going to draw back up 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. Alright, it is Yoon's turn, baby Yoon. And first thing she's going to do, she started her turn at this location, so she may succeed at a check to defeat this card to banish it. I probably should not have turned over the blessing yet. So she's going to succeed at a check to defeat this card to banish it. And it's Dexterity Disable, Constitution, Craft, or Survival. Dexterity Disable, Constitution, Craft, or Survival. I think her Constitution of a D10 is the best out of all of those. So she's going to try this D10. And it has the fire trait. So we're going to use a Blessing of the Elements. We're going to recharge to add 1 die. So 2 D10s. I would need a 9. How can we put out this fire? Unfortunately, it's not at my location, but I can use the flash freeze on Tup's turn. That would be very nice. It's not a survival check, although she could make a survival check. She wouldn't be able to roll nearly the same kinds of dice. So I believe we're just going to use Tup and have him discard a blessing. We're rolling 3 D10s now. That ought to be sufficient. Okay, very good. On 2 D10s, I got it. So that has been defeated. I can now take my turn. I don't want to stick around in the Scorched Ruins. I'm going to head over to the Brickworks and explore here. Alright, it is a stealth or combat check. Her stealth is very high. It's a D8 plus 2. Yeah, let's just do that. It's a D8 plus 2. I guess I could use a Blessing of the Ancients to get a 7 on a D8 plus 2. Yeah. Well, wait. Is it a Wisdom, Knowledge, or Survival check? It's not really. So, yeah, I'm going to use this Blessing of the Ancients. And so we're rolling 2 D8s now. 2 D8s plus 2. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm glad I used that blessing, but he is defeated. Alright, still Yoon's turn. And what has she got? She has some cards, but I don't know if she's really capable of dealing with anything in this location. I wish she had some of these armors that you could like recharge if they're in your hand. But she does not. She's going to risk it. She's going to use the shock lizard to explore. Oh, she should have held on to the shock lizard. Yeah, she's going to hold on to the shock lizard so she can use it against electricity damage. She's going to use the Daba to explore. Ooh, a Chakram. A dexterity or ranged. So she's got a dexterity of D8. She needs a 6 on this. Not much I can do because I pretty much used all of my blessings already, I believe. But this would be another good one. All right, so let's try this. A D8. I need a 6. And I did not succeed. Okay. And with that, she will end her turn. Oh, maybe she should keep exploring. She really couldn't deal with a monster or a barrier if it came out. And that's pretty much all that's in this deck. Allies, weapons, monsters, and barriers. So she's going to hold on to the card she has and draw back up. All right, nice. A blessing. That'll help her out a little bit. Okay, so next turn. Oh no, it's a conflagration. So it's going to go back to the Scorched Ruins because that's the only location that can take one. Unfortunately, that means that location cannot be closed anymore. And it's Tup's turn. So he is, at the start of his turn, he's dealing with the conflagration in his location. And he's going to add 1d12 in the cold trait to his check to defeat the conflagration. So we're throwing away the flash freeze for now, and we're going to do a, what is his best skill out of those? I think it is the dexterity. We're going to do a D8 plus 1 plus a D12 plus another D8 because it has the cold trait. So 2 D8s and a D12 plus 1. That should do it. Oh my god. Yes. Yes, that is defeated. Okay, good. Now, it also says at the start of your turn, shuffle a random card from your discard pile into your deck. So, nice to be at the surgery. That does not continue after the surgery gets closed, so. By the way, I haven't read the surgery yet. Let's see that. As the vessel for the 3 parts of the soul, the body is sacred in Osirian. The 3 parts of the soul, that actually is pretty important in the ongoing story here. The surgery is clean and immaculately organized. A shrine to Selket, goddess of healing. Great care is taken to preserve the health of the body, and Osirian doctors have no qualms with cutting away disease in exchange for coin or favors. Okay. And then I'm going to deal with my actual turn. I'm going to explore. Oh no, it's the Ifrit. Ifriti. So this is something that really confuses me. Apparently, this is a picture of an elemental. A fire elemental, not an Ifrit. Ifrit, I believe, should be spelled with an E, although this is an alternate spelling, but I don't think it's the one used in Pathfinder. And it says it's a Johnny, which is a completely different type of Jinn. So I have no idea what's going on with this card. But that's just because I've been doing research into this to try and do the story. So I'm getting a lot of conflicting information off of this card. But in any case, it's like a fire genie thing, and it's trying to burn down the surgery, apparently. It's immune to the fire and poison traits. Damn it. Damn it. That's all I have. All damage dealt is fire damage. Before you act, discard a card from the Blessings deck for each other open location. There's 2 open locations, so we're going to have to discard 2 Blessings. Oh boy. All right. So I can't use poison. I can't use fire. Damn. I could use this sarcophagus after my turn. Let's see. Well, this check would invoke the fire trait, so I could use the Blessing of Ra to give him 2 extra dice. Oh no, but the Blessing of Ra has fire. I think I'm not allowed to use it. And then she can't do anything for him. And what is his base attack? It's a D4. Yeah, he's basically going to fail at this check. So I think I'm just going to not do anything and fail the check. So I'm going to roll my D4 and then take all that damage. Alright, so I take 9 damage, but I'm going to use my portable sarcophagus. Display this card next to your location and shuffle your token card into your location deck to reduce all damage dealt to you to 0. When your token is returned to the location, banish this card. Alright, so shuffle him in. And there's some rules for what to do when a card is shuffled into a location deck, like a token card. So I'm going to look those up and then get back to you. I was not able to find the exact rule on either of those questions, whether one of them had to do with immunity and one of them had to do with how this portable sarcophagus works. I'm pretty sure, though, I was not allowed to use this blessing that has the fire trait because this guy is immune to fire. Even though it didn't define my check, I think I'm still not allowed to play it. Now, as for what to do now, I failed to defeat the villain, which means that I have to take cards from the blessing deck itself, shuffle them up, and you know, I should have tried to close this location. But at this point, I'm not going to go back and change it, but I should have tried to temporarily close the brickworks. Let me do one more, okay, and then 1, 2, 3, and we're going to shuffle these cards in here. And then it is Estra's turn. All right, Estra is going to begin. So at the start of her turn, she has to deal with this lightning storm. She's rolling a d4, and it was a 2, so she has to take 2 lightning damage. She's going to take 1 of that damage as Onair, and she's going to take the other damage as the Osirian History Guide. So actually, when she would take damage for Onair, she's just actually going to recharge him instead. That leaves her with a spell that she can use in combat. And then she's going to explore her location. Ah, no. Not really good timing. Alright, so it is the Fire Spirit. So I have to deal with this guy. I'm going to use my Holy Light spell, which is a d12 plus 3 plus 2d6. And that should kill the guy. But then I'm going to have trouble with this check to close. d12 plus 3 plus 2d6. Alright, that was enough. So the Fire Spirit has been killed. I'm going to try to recharge this spell now. That's a d12 plus 3. Try to get an 8. And I got it. Okay, and now I have to try to attempt to close the location. So, succeeded a strength check with a difficulty of 4. So her strength is a d4. We need some help with that. And I don't think Tup can do a thing right now because he's in his sarcophagus. So Let's see. We'll do this. Discard this card to add 2 dice to any strength non-combat check. So we're rolling 3 d4s. Unless I get 3 1s, we've succeeded. Ah, that was a 4 right off the bat. Okay, so this location has been closed. Oh, and I have to display this barrier next to a random location after dealing with it. So it doesn't say random open location, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll roll a d6 and re-roll a 6. Alright, so the lightning storm has headed over to the warehouse. Now the lightning storm is bothering the warehouse. But in any case, we're getting rid of this blasphemous priest because I've closed the location. Oh no! There's some pretty cool stuff there. A fire gecko, that's pretty cool. And more bone crushers. Blessing of the elements, a toxic geyser, and a copies. Alright. So she's done with her turn. And that means she draws back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully my cure spell is in here now. Yes, my cure spell is in my hand now. So that's good. And we've only got a couple of locations left. Despite a little bit of bad luck with that last encounter with the villain, we're doing pretty well. I'm going to wrap up there for now because I'm running sort of low on storage on my camera. So I'm going to upload all of this stuff and then pick up here tomorrow. So put this here just to remind me that's where I am.